Hey guys, how's it going? I've had a lot of requests, so we're going to continue the How to Play Warhammer 40K series. The last thing I did was walkers. You could count that as how to play. This short video will talk about USR, or the Universal Special Rules. Alright guys, first thing we're going to talk about under the USR, Universal Special Rules, is the Eternal Warrior. Eternal Warrior is a pretty good rule. I like it. What basically Eternal Warrior means is you cannot be insta-killed by being hit with something double your toughness. If you remember from one of my previous videos, if you're toughness 4 like this Space Marine captain, and you get hit with a toughness 8, strength 8 or higher weapon, and you don't make your armor save or your invulnerable save, whichever is better, then you are killed. You don't just take one wound, you're just killed outright, no matter how many wounds you have left. If this model has the Eternal Warrior special rule, then that means he just takes a wound, he's not killed outright. A lot of the Chaos guys have this, a few of the new Space Marine guys have it. Currently a bunch of the big bugs have it in the Tyrannid Codex, but I believe Eternal Warrior is going away from the rumors. So that's how Eternal Warrior works. Alright, next we're going to talk about counterattack. What counterattack means is if a unit is charged, they get to roll a leadership. If they make their leadership, then they get the assault bonus of +1 attack too, as if they had assaulted. So how this would work, let's say the orcs over here charge the guardsmen. They get into close combat, of course, and we know the guardsmen would lose, but let's say they had one of the Imperial Guard special characters that gave them counterattack. I would need to make a leadership test. If I make the leadership test, then the guardsmen, who normally have 1 attack in close combat, would have 2. And since their initiative is higher, they may kill an orc or so. They'd probably still lose the combat. But that's how counterattack works. Alright, next thing we're going to talk about, the next USR is Fearless. This is real common. Seems like every army has something that is fearless. The way Fearless works is a Fearless model automatically passes all the morale checks and pinning tests that they are required to take. They never fall back. That can be good and that can be bad. They can go to ground, so if someone tries to tell you, no, they're fearless, they can't go to ground, well, they can. The one downside on Fearless, and like I said, Chaos Space Marines really have a lot of this, is say you lose combat by 3. If the unit is Fearless, instead of making your leadership at -3, you take 3 armor saves. So that sort of keeps Fearless units around a little bit longer. Okay, the next special rule I'd like to talk about, well, that's an old orc right there if you guys notice it, is Feel No Pain. Feel No Pain has changed a little bit compared to what it was in the previous edition. What it is after you take your armor save or your invulnerable save, whichever is better, if you still take a wound on a 4, 5, or 6, if you have Feel No Pain, then they ignore that wound. That is huge. Okay, one thing to note, that if the wound causes instant death or is AP1 or AP2 weapon, then you don't get your Feel No Pain rule. And that's a change that was needed, because Nurgle Space Marines that are still tough were way too tough in the previous incarnation of that rule. Also with Feel No Pain, any power weapons or power fists or like a hit from a monstrous creature, anything that denies you an armor save, also ignores Feel No Pain. Okay, the Fleet special rule, a lot of Eldar have this. What the Fleet lets you do is sort of run. It's a type of run, if you will, in the shooting phase. So instead of shooting, you can have Fleet of Foot, Fleet of Claw, Fleet of Hoof. Basically, what Fleet allows you to do is if you fleet, you can still assault. Or if you remember in my other videos, if you run, you can't assault in the assault phase. Okay, the next special rule we'll talk about is Furious Charge. Khorne Berserkers has this. I'm sure there's some other ones out there, but those are the most prevalent. If the rumors on the new Tyrannid Codex are correct, they'll have that option for Furious Charge. What Furious Charge does is when a unit charges another unit, they get a +1 to their initiative and to their strength for the first round of combat only. not every round of combat. The next special rule we're going to talk about is hit and run. I've seen this rule played wrong many times. I've seen the people play it as is this unit charges in, smacks this unit. Well, they have hit and run. These guys get to fall back before these guys get to attack. Wrong answer. That's not the way it works. The way hit and run would work if the orcs had it, which we know orcs don't have it, thank God, is they would charge in. You would do a round of combat, and then if this unit, let's say the orcs had the hit and run, if they wanted to leave combat, they would have to take an initiative test. And if they fail the initiative test, they're still locked into combat. Or if they pass it, they can move 3d6 in any direction to get away from the combat, and they're no longer locked, of course, and there's no sweeping advances made. So these guys would just have to stand there. Also to note that the hit and run, you're not slowed down. The 3d6 roll by difficult terrain, but you are affected by dangerous terrain, so you'd have to roll. And one thing you can't do is like break off this combat and then roll your 3d6 and go into another combat with hit and run. So basically hit and run is cool. It allows you to disengage and not be followed, but I've seen this rule played wrong so many times. Okay, the next special rule we're going to talk about is move through cover. A unit that has move through cover, say like wanted to move through woods or something, most of the time you roll 2d6. If you have move through cover, you'd roll 3d6 and of course take the highest. A lot of the bugs have that, special elite infiltrator kind of scout guys have it. So that's how move through cover works. Okay, in 5th edition, this rule has become huge. It's called infiltrate. This allows a unit to deploy, infiltrators are deployed last. If both sides have infiltrators, and you'd have to roll off to see who deploys theirs. They may be set up anywhere on the table edge as long as they're 12 inches away from an enemy unit. That is huge. You could end up in their deployment zone. Say if your opponent turtles in 1/4, then you could actually end up in his deployment zone, which would be pretty cool.